I never believed the phrase, trust your instincts, until my own home began to feel unfamiliar. For 40 years, these walls had protected me. They had watched me grow old, watched my husband grow sick, watched my son grow from a boy into a man. And yet, somewhere along the way, the house stopped feeling like mine. I didn't notice it all at once. It happened quietly, like a shadow stretching longer at dusk. My name is Elenena, and I'm 64 years old. This house was built with my husband's hands and my patience. We saved for years, brick by brick, dream by dream. Every corner carries a memory. Sunday breakfasts in the kitchen, birthday candles melted onto the dining table, my husband's laugh echoing in the living room long after he was gone. 7 years after my husband passed, my son Robert insisted he and his wife Audrey move in. "You shouldn't be alone, Mom," he said. At the time, I believed him. For a while, everything felt normal, comfortable, even warm. We ate together. Audrey cooked meals she knew I loved. Robert fixed things around the house. I told myself I was lucky. But then, something shifted. It was subtle at first. Conversations stopped when I entered rooms. Audrey smiled, but her eyes no longer smiled with her. Robert began guarding his phone like it held secrets too heavy to share. I told myself I was imagining it, that grief makes a woman suspicious, that age makes you paranoid, until the whispers began. Every night, muffled voices floated through the hallway, doors opened and closed softly, laughter that didn't belong to my family echoed briefly, then vanished. And the old master bedroom, the room I had sealed after my husband died, was suddenly locked. "Why is that room always closed now?" I asked one afternoon. Audrey answered too quickly. "Humidity problems. We don't want mold." Mold? That room had survived 40 winters without mold. One night, close to 11, I heard the front door open. I moved quietly down the hall. From the shadows, I saw Audrey greeting a young woman with a suitcase. Money changed hands. The guest was led straight into that locked room. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Audrey poured coffee like nothing had happened. Robert avoided my eyes. That was the moment I understood something terrible. Whatever was happening in my home, I was not meant to see it. So I made a decision that changed everything. I told them I was visiting my sister for a week. They smiled too eagerly. Robert insisted on driving me to the station. I hugged him goodbye, stepped inside, and waited until he left. Then I took a taxi straight to my neighbor Moses' house. Moses had lived across the street for decades. From his upstairs window, my front door was perfectly visible. That first evening, I watched strangers arrive with bags and suitcases. Audrey greeted them like guests at a hotel. Cash appeared. Doors opened. By midnight, there were people sleeping in my house, who didn't even know my name. And that was only the beginning, because just as I thought I had uncovered the truth, Moses leaned toward me and whispered words that made my blood run cold. "Wait until Friday night, midnight. That's when you'll see everything." At that moment, I still believed they were stealing money. I had no idea they were planning to steal my life.
The days that followed blurred together like a nightmare I couldn't wake from. From Moses' upstairs window, I became a stranger watching my own life from across the street. Every morning, unfamiliar faces exited my house with backpacks and suitcases. Every evening, new ones arrived. Audrey ran the operation with frightening efficiency. She kept notes. She cleaned rooms like a professional. She smiled like someone who had done this many times before. Robert helped when needed. Laundry, supplies, small repairs. Together, they transformed my home into something unrecognizable. Not a house, a business. I counted everything. How many people entered, how long they stayed, how much money changed hands. They were earning thousands using my electricity, my water, my property without my knowledge or consent. And the most painful part? They acted completely normal during the day. They drank coffee at my kitchen table, they laughed, they asked about my health, they kissed my cheek. By the third night, I was no longer in denial. I was angry. But Moses warned me not to confront them yet. If you go in now, he said, you'll only know this much. If you wait, you'll see how deep it goes. He was right. On the second night, Moses told me something that made my hands shake. I saw Audrey meeting a man at a cafe, he said quietly. Not your son, older, professional, carrying a briefcase. A briefcase. That word stayed with me. Moses continued, lowering his voice. I heard words like evaluations, competency, nursing facilities. I felt the room tilt. Competency, nursing homes. Why would my daughter-in-law be discussing that? That night, I couldn't breathe properly. I replayed every recent interaction in my mind, every concerned question about my memory, every suggestion that I rest more, every time Audrey insisted on managing my appointments. The picture became horrifyingly clear. They weren't just using my house, they were preparing to remove me from it. I called my lawyer friend Ellen the next day. She listened silently, then said something that made my skin crawl. If they prove you're mentally unfit, she said, they could legally take control of everything. That night, Moses noticed something different. At exactly midnight, Audrey slipped out the back door. She wasn't alone. A man followed her, the same man with the briefcase. They entered my husband's old shed. Lights turned on inside. They were exchanging documents. I watched shadows move across the walls. That was when I knew this was no longer just betrayal. This was a plan. I still didn't know what was in those documents, but I knew they weren't just planning to rent rooms. They were planning to erase me.
Saturday morning, while guests slept and Audrey played hostess, I did something reckless. I entered my own backyard like a thief. Moses kept watch as I unlocked the shed. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure Audrey could hear it from inside the house. The shed smelled like dust and old wood. Everything looked untouched until I saw the metal box on my husband's workbench. It didn't belong there. Inside were stacks of cash, and beneath the cash, documents. My hands shook as I read them. A rental contract listing my house as a lodging property signed in my son's name. A psychological evaluation scheduled for me. A nursing home brochure highlighted. A power of attorney prepared, unsigned. And then the note. Mild sedative during appointment. Signature obtained during confusion. I nearly collapsed. They were going to drug me, make me sign away my life. I took photos of everything, every page, every word, and then I ran. By that afternoon, Ellen confirmed what I already knew. This is elder abuse, fraud, conspiracy. She moved fast. Documents were filed, my competency officially declared, my assets protected. Then she said the words I never expected. We're setting a trap. I would return home, pretend I knew nothing, act like the same trusting mother, and let them expose themselves. Thursday night, the inspector arrived. Guests everywhere. Receipts, money, rooms full. The business collapsed in under an hour. When I stepped forward and identified myself as the owner, Robert's face broke. That night, the truth poured out, and I heard my son admit he planned to put me away. I had won, but victory came with a price I never imagined paying. They left the next morning, suitcases dragging across the floor, keys left on the table, no goodbye. The silence afterward was unbearable. I walked through the house slowly, reclaiming each room. I opened windows, changed sheets, let sunlight touch places strangers had slept. Weeks passed. I chose not to press criminal charges, not because they didn't deserve punishment, but because carrying hatred felt heavier than justice. My house is quiet now. I paint, I garden, I sleep without fear. Sometimes I think of my son, sometimes I don't. What I know for certain is this: love can blind you, but self-respect can save your life. If I hadn't listened to my instincts, I wouldn't be telling this story today. People believe that once the danger passes, peace arrives immediately, that healing begins the moment the threat is gone. They are wrong. Peace does not come rushing in. It enters slowly, cautiously, like an animal unsure whether it is safe to return. The first week after Robert and Audrey left, I barely slept. Not because I was afraid anymore, but because my body had forgotten how to rest. Every small sound made me sit up in bed. The wind brushing the window, the refrigerator humming. The house, once violated, was learning how to breathe again, and so was I. I walked through every room daily, not out of fear, but out of a strange need to reassure myself. This room is mine. This door is mine. This silence is mine. I removed every object that reminded me of strangers: towels, extra pillows, cheap lamps Audrey had bought for the guests. I donated most of it. Some things I threw away without hesitation. Certain energies do not deserve to remain. The master bedroom, the one that once belonged to my husband, was the hardest. I stood in the doorway for a long time before entering. The bed had been used by strangers. The floor had been walked by people who did not know its history, who did not know that a man had taken his final breath there. I cried. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like someone saying goodbye again. I stripped the room completely. Furniture, curtains, everything. I painted the walls a soft cream color and turned it into something new, a place of creation instead of memory. An art studio. I had never painted seriously before, but Ellen once told me, trauma needs somewhere to go. So I bought brushes, canvases, and paints. At first, my hands shook. The first paintings were chaotic, angry reds, harsh blacks. Then slowly, color softened. Flowers appeared, light, open windows. Healing, I learned, does not erase scars. It teaches you how to live with them. Moses visited often. He brought food, helped me install a new security system, and never asked questions I wasn't ready to answer. One afternoon, as we sat in the garden, he said something I will never forget. "You didn't just save your house," he said gently. "You saved yourself." I nodded, but the truth was heavier. I had saved myself from my own blood. That realization still hurt. Weeks later, a letter arrived. Robert's handwriting. I stared at the envelope for a long time before opening it. Part of me wanted to tear it apart unread. Another part, the part that had carried him inside me for 9 months, couldn't. The letter was not an excuse. That surprised me. He wrote about losing his job, about Audrey leaving, about living alone in a small apartment and working construction. He admitted his guilt plainly. No blame, no justification. He wrote, "I live with what I did every day, and I deserve that." I cried, not because I forgave him, but because grief has many faces. I did not respond. Forgiveness is not a decision you make in a moment. It is a road you choose to walk, or not. Ellen called a month later. The corrupt doctor lost his license. The municipal fine stood. Legally, I was protected completely. "You're safe now," she said. Safe. It was a strange word. Safety is not just the absence of danger, it is the presence of control. I had that now. I changed my will, I updated my documents, and I made sure no one, no matter how close, could ever use love as a weapon against me again. And yet, something inside me still needed closure. One evening, while painting alone in my studio, I realized what it was. I needed to speak, not to Robert, not to Audrey, but to myself. I stood in front of the mirror that night and said the words out loud. You trusted, and that was not your mistake. For a long time, I had blamed myself for letting them move in, for ignoring early signs, for believing kindness instead of caution. But love is not a flaw. Blindness is not stupidity when it comes from the heart. The real crime was theirs. Months passed. The house began to feel warm again, not crowded, not loud, just alive in a quiet, honest way. I hosted small dinners, I laughed without forcing it, I slept deeply. One afternoon, Moses asked me something unexpected. If Robert came to the door today, he said carefully, what would you do? I didn't answer immediately. I imagined it. His knock, his face, older now, worn. I don't know, I said finally, but I know this. I would not let guilt decide for me. Boundaries are not cruelty, they are self-respect. Sometimes love means distance. Sometimes survival requires it. I still believe people can change, but I no longer believe that love alone guarantees safety. And that lesson, hard-earned, may have saved my life. On quiet nights, I sit by the same window where I once watched my house from across the street. The memory still stings, but it no longer controls me. I survived betrayal that would have destroyed many. I learned that danger does not always arrive with violence. Sometimes it arrives with smiles, concern, and familiar voices. And most importantly, I learned this. If something in your life feels wrong, even when everyone tells you it's right, listen, because instincts whisper before danger screams. If I hadn't pretended to leave my home, I might never have escaped it alive.